Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to look at a set of Lister Liberty battery powered horse clippers. I'm Simon and welcome to Oakside Saddlery. Lister Liberty battery powered, like a battery pack goes on your belt. You can't see that, I just did that because it's quite amusing. As you can see, the lead, it looks like to me it's been completely cut off, so it's been caught in something and severed. So obviously a new lead is in due. It looks like it would have been damaged anyway, judging by that curve on there. Not a bad clipper. They work quite well. They've got a decent motor in them. I'm not sure what voltage they run at, but yeah, we'll have a part, strip them down, clean them up, and see what we've got. Everything seems to turn so far, so let's have a look then. So we don't need this. So we can take that tensioner off. It's going to need a good clean. So remember with these, this will come over that edge, so you have to be careful with them because you do tend to lose it if you're not careful. So dump that up there somewhere for the time being. So clipper head, got two screws are in there. They're both Phillips screws. There's a bit of muck by the looks of it, so unless you get that muck out of the screw head, you won't be able to get your screwdriver in very well. So little hooks, these type of things do these well. So just clear that out of there. There's a lot in that one. And we've got a nice one in there. See if that fits. That fits all right. So pin that one in. This one as well. It's better. So these aren't too bad to get apart. There's not a lot to them. They do tend to get a problem inside. There's an odd wire. We'll have a look at it later. There's an odd wire in there that gets trapped when they put them together sometimes. So we'll see what that's like. I had one on a set the other day, just the same. This should pull off. There we go, nice and clear in there, so that's not too bad. And the cog looks good on there, just a bit dirty, that's all. Now these parts here. So we've got 4 screws. There's one in each of them holes there. Now the smaller screws, so one's in there. It's all right. In there, that one feels all right as well. Another one back here. The last one's that one there. It's better. Let's get them all loose. One's off. That one's loose, but it's just stuck in there. To get the motors there, that one's free. That one's free as well. So I've got one that's still in there, not come out yet. I think it's free. So these should start to pull apart. That's coming off. Sometimes these have a little clip. Some of these sort of things. Oh, blimey. And all of a sudden it all goes. So that back panel there slots into that, so that's where it is. So I'm not sure what side that's all attached to. I don't think it's attached to any side. There we go. So that wire actually is not too bad. So that wire there and this wire sit in that channel there, and they quite often miss, so they get clipped. Although I can see, not sure what that was. There was something glinting across there. Not sure what it was. Might have been a bit of metal or something. The switch looks good. This looks good. That's all good. So they're not that hard a clipper to get apart. 4 screws basically, or 6 screws. There's the odd one that's fallen out now. 6 screws. Get yourself inside it. Get the head off. And get this out. No, don't feel too bad. But otherwise, how short a video is that one? It's going to be in a couple of little stages. I might just leave it as one video, to be honest. I'll probably I'll have to get some soldering done when I do the new one on there, so I might edit that, might put a bit in it. So take a little break, I'm going to clean it all up, and then I will come back and show you some repairs. So speak to you again in a bit. And welcome back. So I've cleaned them all up, everything's all cleaned up. We've just got this cable to replace now. So we've got last few little bits on here where you've got some oil that sits in there and I can't quite get it off. It's not coming off with a bit of degreaser, so that's going to have to stay there. Otherwise, the case is already done. This always tends to stay wet because the string gets wet. This is a bit we need to look at. So we've got, let's get rid of all of that, don't need that, don't need all that, don't lose them. We've got a new cable, so this is our new cable coming in. See, they don't always have these, this is a later version of it, but it's exactly the same when you look at it. It's going to have a solder on there and a solder onto the switch. So first thing we need to do then is think about getting these pieces off of here. So we can see they've heated that one up and gone through it. Yeah, it looks almost like a decent enough job, whereas that one is soldered on top. That looks original, that doesn't. And the switch itself, the cable is not trapped on that one. This is the cable that normally gets trapped, is these. Get trapped in there and just soldered up in there. So let's just sort myself out and get that sorted. I might even see if I can video it, so it'll give you something else to look at on it. So see you in a bit. Okay, I've got my soldering iron heating up. Going to be a fairly high temperature because factory solder is always harder to melt than a normal solder. So I'm going to take that one off first. It looks like I should be able to just heat this up, and as I heat it up, might be able to get that wire out. So let's see how we get on first of all. Hardest thing with these is keeping everything still. So it doesn't matter about having a clean iron at the moment, I just want it to be hot. At the moment we're running at 460. That's just starting to come off of there. It doesn't want to melt properly. There's that wire loose, and that's that one off. Let's see what that solder's like on there. Not too bad. Might better use some of that. Alright, clean that bit out. That one, and the other one is the switch, which is this one here with the big blob of solder on it as well. So let's see what we can get on there. I'm not sure where that is. Somewhere in there. There we go, that was easy enough, wasn't it? Let's just melt some of that out, see what we can get out of it. That's not too bad. Right, let's give that soldering iron a clean up. So you want your solders all clean, otherwise they catch. And I can, if I need to, strip that solder off of there so that my new solder can fit. So let's just set myself up. Sometimes this, I could get rid of that, don't need that. Sometimes these are a bit awkward because this wants to roll, because it's round to start with, and these don't want to sit where I want them, and I've run out of hands. So the first one's going to go in there somewhere, so that looks like it's pretty good. These are pre-soldered, so let's see what we get. So I'm going to come across to there, give it a heat. You see it loves to move. And it's attached on there, but I'm not happy with it. Oh, lucky you can't see my face, you'd see all the concentration on it. So that's got on there. There's not a lot of solder on it, so let's see if we can't put another little tag on it. It'll probably mean it'll fall off in a minute. So I'm going to up it just with some normal solder as well. So all I've done is added a little bit of solder to it, which should keep it still. So what you don't want to do is move this before that goes hard. If you move it, you get a, I think they call it a cold solder. It just means it's not done very well. So let's give that another clean up. And let's look at the switch side of it. So the switch side is probably going to be a bit more of a fiddle because I've got to get this and the soldering iron and the yeah, I've run out of hands. So I have, just knock a minute off. I have what they call a helping hands. So helping hands, big heavy plate. This has actually got a magnifying glass on it and things like that. That was probably close, but it's got these little bits you can twist around and grip hold of things with, so it means you can free up your hands. So all I've got to do then is get this, find somewhere to clip it. Let's just turn that so that's out of the way of that switch, and I'll be able to tighten it up a bit more. So hold that in there, and I want this wire held in there, and then what I can do is adjust these so this wire is pretty much where I want it, which is going to be around there somewhere. And then what we can do, once we've got that on, we can heat some of this up so we start to get what we want. Just gripped it, but like last time I'm not really happy. Because it wants to move. There we go. Right, let's add another little bit of solder to it. Got a nice solder there, and we saw that all melt all the way down. Still a bit shit, don't like it. Pretend I didn't say shit just now. Looks better. That's got that. That was on there, that one's on there, that's on there, that's on there. You want to pull these fairly hard, because if it's going to come off, it might as well break now whilst you've got it apart, isn't it? That's on there. So, use the helping hands. It's got a little light on it as well, which is handy. So, that's there and that's there. I'm not sure how much you saw on that, because I can't see my camera at the time when I'm doing this, and I'm concentrating. Took my soldering iron off. Finish that off. Figure out how to get back together. So let's just change again position with the camera, get myself back out. Time to get these back together again. So we've got this all soldered up and repaired and ready to go. We've got a new cable on it. So we need to get this all in here, and we need to get these all cleaned up. So cleaning the motor up. Sealed unit, can't get into it, but I can get some spray in there to clean things up. And all that does is gets rid of all the muck and that. You already feel that goes better. Gets rid of all the muck out of them. So you can use that before I solder if I wanted to, and it will clean that up. It's always cold because it's some sort of alcohol type affair in there. Don't drink it. Oil on there then, so a little drop of oil. Let's just sit that out. We've got one back here, little bearing, so a little tiny drop in there, and we've got another one that's down in there somewhere. So I'm going to just drop it on there. Let that chance to go down. We're going to give that a turn. That feels good. It did have a bit of a squeak. I think it's stopped now. That's good. Don't need that anymore. I said I don't need that anymore. Some things. Now, putting this in. It's going to go into this side here. So when I said I don't need that anymore, what I do is, what I need is that a little bit more. Now, it goes in. Cable's going to go there. Motor wedges itself in there, and the switch, oh, he says, goes at the top there. So the first thing we're going to get in is the switch. We want it round the right way, so the power up goes forward. So these wires sit down. This is awkward to see, isn't it? There's a slot there, and a little cable run that goes down there to these pieces here. And that's where the wire's got to run. It's when you put the motor in, it's underneath the motor, and that's why these often get trapped. So the first one is going to be, this is like a fight all the time, this one, and I'm going to put the brown one then. Which way does it want to go? Brown one wants to go on the bottom, so it's going to slide down that channel and stay there somewhere. I'm going to connect that switch in, and it sits in little cutouts just in there. This is all fiddly, isn't it? Sits in these little cutouts just in there. They're going to sit down them channels. I don't know why I had that bit. This is going to wedge itself in there, and the motor is going to sit on top, and all them wires need to sit in that channel. So I have to spend a little bit of time getting everything where you want it. So they're going to lay down there, lay down there, lay down in there somewhere. I'm going to take that off for the time being. It's got a twist in it. And what I'm going to do is push that wire and this wire down into them bits. So let me do this down here because it gets on my nerves. Got my little screwdriver. That's what I do. So one wire is going to, oh, horses. One wire's going to go. One's going to go, good grief, down there. Can you see that? And the other wire is going to go next to it. Next to it there. And then these wires must, when I say must sit in there. Now sometimes, if they don't want to stay flat, I'll put a piece of tape over them and just hold them in place. But this lot seems to want to sit in that place. So all I'm doing is just peeping down this edge, and I can see that one of them's already moved. Back in place again. That looks better. So it's going to sit there. Oh, sit there. Doesn't feel right. Let's have another look. And sure enough, that black wire's moved again. It's going to sit back in place. I'll be getting some tape out in a minute. Back in there, back in there, back in there. That goes in there. Right, that's in the right place. That's the motor going in that doesn't want to sit. There it is. That's better. No movement now. So if there's no movement on there, it's not sitting on the wires and it's sitting in nicely. The other thing these have a habit of doing is the wire is very close to that bearing. So when the motor's turning, you can't see it, can you really? But that is turning as well. So that you don't want them wires touching on there, because sometimes they do. They like to sit really near. So I do tend to like to push these, get them where I want them to be. So I've got a little bit of casing is going to come over the top of that, and we'll push that down if I'm not careful. But that one's going to be there. That one's going to be there, so that's all clear. Now this part here, we untangle the string because it's tied up in a way that's determined to confuse me. There it is. All it does is it sits in. We slot the back piece in there, so as it starts to go in, it should all ease itself back together. And there we go, clips in place. That was definitely not my knuckles in any way. Now I want these 4 smaller ones, so we're going to have one in there. A bit of tightening, one in there. I'm not tightening these up fully yet, just getting them in place so that I can deal with them. That doesn't feel right. Still doesn't feel right. I think we're there this time, that feels better. The last one in there. Now I'm going to start tightening up. So that iron's fairly tight. This one's not. That one's going fairly tight. It's on down there. That one's going reasonably tight. That one's gone tight. Alright. That one's tight. That one's tight. That one's tight. That one's tight. So that's our clippers there. So they're nicely oiled. Motor's all clear. There's a gap there, don't like that. Must be right though, because it just pushed it apart. So I can't test these because I haven't got the battery packs. The problem with post, you can't send the batteries through the post, can you? They don't like it. Which is unfortunate because normally I would have all these connected up. So let's have a look at this head then. So we need a bit of oil in here. So drop down there. Give that chance to soak in. And then just work it down. It's a bit better. And then we've got another bearing on here. These sometimes seize. This one's good. There's usually a hole, although I haven't seen a hole. I was cleaning it, I didn't see one though. So let's put a little drop of oil into the top of that. And give it a chance to soak in. Give it a wheel around. So we've now got it in there. So plastic on brass doesn't always need a bit of grease, but it had a little bit of grease on it. Not much. A little tiny bit of grease it had. So I'm going to put a little bit of grease back on it. So nothing special. Bit of multi-purpose. Don't know what else it was on my hand. Just gonna smear it around on there. Don't have to have too much because when it works, it smears it around itself, doesn't it? So get rid of the excess of that. And this is just going to sit itself in here, and it will fit in one position. Everything should all line up. Now we've got our head with our little washers that often get lost. I think it was missing one of these, so I've actually found a spare. See what I haven't done. Cleared the muck out of there, have I? Yeah. Screws don't normally get washed as such. They're a bit knackered them, to be honest. Better than it was. This is a little, I think they just call them a hook and pick. Buy a little hook and pick sets. This is an old one. I've had this one donkey's years. It did come in a little set with some others. Don't know what. I never use the others. So I don't know where they are. They're all just a simple enough thing, but they're good for things like that. Good for also picking these silly little washers up. So that one goes in there. It's into a brass fitting, so it's not as bad, is it? So just not tight at the moment, just loose. That one goes in there. That one's in there, so tighten them up. Fairly tight. Properly tight. Properly tight. Bearing moves. And then we have our tension set. So again, when we put a tension set, make sure this one goes through if we haven't got any blades. That one goes through. Spring on top. This one goes on top. Doesn't need to be tight. It's just enough to keep that in one place so we don't lose it, because otherwise it'll get lost. So here we go. This is our Liberty, the battery powered version. It's not the lithium ones. These cables I think are in limited supply. When I had to order 2 of these. When I've ordered the last 2, I think there was only showing us about 6 or 7 left, something like that. So if you break one, you might be able to get them eventually, but just keep to them ones. If we haven't got them, you'll end up having another set of clippers, won't you, or another wire of some sort. Something to connect it up. See if I can get that to stay shut as well. Let's get my pliers on there. Oh, no, it did go on there. There you go. So this is the Liberty horse catcher. It's battery powered, cleaned up, cable replaced, all ready to go back to the customer. So if you enjoyed the video, remember, click that thumbs up button that's down there somewhere. Subscribe and like, remember. And if you've got any comments or your clippers need servicing, you can either leave them in the notes below, or you can email me at oaksidesaddlery@gmail.com, or you can visit my website, which is www.oaksidesaddlery.co.uk. Otherwise, have a good day. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.